Certified My Guys for 2024. Who are we backing to carry you to your Dynasty Championship? Let's get into it.
Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Dynasty After Dark. We're your hosts, Calvin Timms and Dale Terry. And this is probably one of the funnest episodes of the offseason that we do every single year. We're going to be going through our certified My Guys for 2024. Next year, we're going to have to make sure we track this and go back and see, because I believe last year, one of my Guys was CJ Stroud, who absolutely...
I can actually tell you here in a second.
Oh, all right. Hold on.
I did make a little chart for us.
All right. Before we get into that, we'll kind of recap 2023's. But before we do, if you are a new listener, thank you guys for checking this video out. We do appreciate you. All of our success growing the channel these last couple weeks has been due to you guys, and we do truly appreciate it. We're still small. We're small scale, but, you know, you guys have been helping us out. You've been liking the comments. You've been subscribing to the channel. And again, we are truly grateful for that. If you like this kind of content, please, again, subscribe to the channel for all the content that we're going to be pumping out. We've been putting out so much for you guys all off season long, and it's been a fun time. It's been a pretty fun off season, even though it's kind of been boring for the most part. There really hasn't been too much news in the off season, but this has been one of the funnest off seasons in recent memory for me, and I think for Dale as well. So if you can, please subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, like the video, just helps it with the algorithm, gets it out there to more people. We do appreciate you guys for that. So thank you guys again. And you can find us over on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, at Dynasty_Dale, or at FF After Dark. You can X us, Twitter us, whatever. You know the drill. So that's it. Dale, how are we doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It is a Wednesday night. You know, in July, there's not a lot happening, but hey, man, I am excited for some football in about a week. And, you know, I think, August 1st is the Hall of Fame game. It's coming up quickly.
I don't care about the Hall of Fame game. I don't care about any preseason whatsoever.
I'm just excited to watch a little football. I know it's watered down, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see some of the new rules they have. You know, like they have the kickoff rule this year. And that's going to be a little different with it's more of like a if you ever watch like XFL or stuff like that, it's kind of similar to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to make it's going to make the kickoff exciting again, and you know, I'm really excited about that. You know, and then with the hip drop tackle being outlawed this year,
scoring's going up, baby, to the moon.
Yeah, they're going to penalize the crap out of that. So I'm really interested to see how that works. I'm very interested. So, you know, I'm more interested in some of those small nuances and just getting back started in the whole rhythm of the fall coming up and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, and you know, one of the funnest things is going to be that new kickoff, like you said. But to me, one of the biggest tragedies that I think of when it comes to the preseason, right? The Hall of Fame game is so worthless. It is so worthless. It is such a slap in the face to all the guys that are going into the Hall of Fame that weekend. What I've always said, and if you guys like this, I want you guys to comment and push this out there. But what they should do is, if you win the Hall of Fame game, you are guaranteed tie breaks for the entire season, no matter what. Always guaranteed. So it really gives them an incentive to actually put good players out there and try and win that game. So, you know, if it comes down to that seventh seed and you have guaranteed tie breaks, all of a sudden that Hall of Fame game wasn't really that bad, you know? So it's worth the risk that way. And I think that would make it a lot more fun and actually a way to honor the Hall of Fame guys. So if you like that, comment, push this out there, because this is my original idea for that. So, and you can't say it's broken because it's two teams, right? It's only two teams one team that it would affect in the entire NFL. So it's not like it might not even matter. It might be the Panthers from last year, for example. So, all right. That said, we're going to be going over our My Guys for 2024 here today. And we have not told each other who we're picking. We're going to give you guys one person that we are backing to the moon this year for each position. And trying not to be homers, trying not to just go for the favorites. Oh, I'm picking Christian McCaffrey. I think he's going to be really good. These
I think
are
it's a pretty easy one. Yeah.
right. These are guys that I think are going to, they're undervalued right now. At least this is how I'm framing my guys. Dale can frame them however he wants to, but for me personally, I'm framing it as these are guys that are undervalued, and we're going to talk about a little bit of their values here today and some of their past production as well, and why I like them so much. But I'm picking guys that I think in a year's time, because it's dynasty format, they will be worth so much more. Fringe first round picks or fringe top first round picks, and depending on format and everything like that. So we'll talk about it here today. And yeah, Dale, how do you rank my guys? What's your
I think how I'm ranking them is, I mean, it's guys I like. It's guys I want to have on my team. Guys I want to try to trade for. Guys I find are going to have sneaky value. That are a little faded a little bit, a tad that we're
Mhm.
kind of sleeping on. I can tell you some of my guys from last year.
Oh yeah, let's
Unfortunately, not. Yeah, I can't find yours for whatever reason.
oh my god.
But I found mine, and people can roast mine because most of them are not good, not looking good. So at the quarterback position, we had good old Justin Fields, womp womp.
There you go.
Then I had running back Nick Chubb. He was looking fantastic until his knee got obliterated by Minka Patrick. And then we had Jahan Dotson, who had a stinker of a season again. And Mark Andrews, who is a product of the hip tackle. So I had some, yeah, interesting choices last.
Yeah, it was I know CJ Stroud was my quarterback. I don't remember
Yep,
the other positions, unfortunately. I think Kyle Pitts might have been my tight end.
it might have.
If I no, no, no. It was not Jake Ferguson, was it?
I don't think.
I don't remember. Well, I'll have to go back and look. I will pull it for you guys, and I can go back and check who my guys were, and I'll kind of talk about that in the comments down below. But it was, I know I had CJ Stroud, so one of one there, but
Right.
the rest of them, I think Najee might have been one of them, and he was mediocre, for example. But we'll get into it. So that said, you want to kick us off? Who is your quarterback, my guy for 2024?
My quarterback. I was kind of torn on this one. So I was kind of thinking of taking a player that that was coming off some injury, stuff like that. Only got to play a few games in 23. I was thinking about picking AR, Anthony Richardson. I really thought about him, but I know a lot of people are liking him and are really excited about him and stuff like that. But I kind of wanted to shift, because I just kind of wanted to shift a little bit. And a guy that a lot of us have slept on. He was a former first overall pick, in Kyler Murray.
Okay, okay. He
So
is currently going as the quarterback. I'm on running backs. Hold on. Quarterback number 11. So
quarterback 11.
fringe
So
first.
So in last year, he only played in 8 games. He was coming off the ACL injury. I think his ACL injury was towards the end of the year last. I think it was one of the last games of the year in. Well, it was towards the end of the year in 2022. So, he didn't. He played in 8 games, had 10 touchdowns, 1,800 yards. Like he ran the ball for 250. It wasn't super great, but also the Cardinals were trash last year. That offensive line was a bunch of trash cans. It felt like so. They've been doing a lot of good things. They've been getting a lot more weapons. They're really bolstering up a little bit, and I think they're going to be a sneaky fringe playoff team this year, in my opinion. So, I know like in what in 2022 or in 21, his last full healthy season, quarterback 10, kind of a down year from his quarterback 3 season in his sophomore season there. So, I think we're going to see really good shades of Kyler Murray, and I think we're going to see a potential top 5 Kyler Murray. It's going to help him having some legit weapons on the outside with Marvin Harrison. He's going to have I almost called him Mike name. It is. It is Michael Wilson. Yeah. So him on that side as well. you have it's the human Dortch, in the slot. So and he has Trey McBride. So I'm really excited about what Kyler Murray has and what he has to offer. I don't think he's necessarily going to be running for his life. He's going to have basically going to have in my opinion, another DeAndre Hopkins, and that's going to be very invaluable or very valuable.
All right, so I do have the full list of 2023 my guys if you want to hear it. So you had Justin Fields, I had Geno Smith, not great there. I thought I had CJ Stroud. I love CJ Stroud, so I was wrong there. Najee Harris and Nick Chubb. You had Nick Chubb, I had Najee. Jerry Jeudy and Jahan Dotson. Mark Andrews and Sam Laporta. Nailed the
Hey, Sam Laporta on the my guy there, man.
Yeah,
Bravo,
was that yours?
Bravo.
Or is that mine?
No, that was yours.
Yeah, I got
yours.
one.
Yeah. I mean,
Jerry Jeudy was
I
definitely a disappointment, but yeah, Najee was okay. You can't really call him a miss completely, but
he was decent.
Yeah, he was not terrible, but I think that we're going to be much better this year because my guy for quarterback, so you have Kyler Murray, fringe first rounder right now. My guy is not even close. He's fringe top 24. And you should already know just from that little hint right there, it's going to be Kirko Cousins going to Atlanta. I love Kirk Cousins this year. I think he's going to be a superstar. Last year, he finishes the quarterback number 24, right? Even with where he's going right now in terms of value, playing 8 games. So he was on fire, and the quarterback position sucked last year. This year, he's going to the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, it's been the whole offseason talking about this. The weapons are amazing. The offensive line is amazing. You've got Bijan. And if you just look at the weapons, right, everybody thinks that Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson, they're all top 10 at their position. Bijan and Pitts are top 5 at their position in terms of where people are drafting them right now. They also have the small guy, Darnell Mooney, going on the outside. So absolutely loaded weapons. People believe in the weapons. They're drafting them very highly, but for some reason, they're not that excited about Kirk Cousins. Now, obviously, he's coming off the Achilles tear last year on his plant leg, which is not great, but for a lot of these quarterbacks, I'm not that worried. They don't have to, he's not a mobile guy. He's not going to be running around that much, and he's just going to be standing in the pocket. And that's where the amazing offensive line that the Atlanta Falcons has comes in very clutch for Kirk Cousins this year. Is he going to get hit some? Yes. But over the last couple of years, around 35, 40 sacks total in 17, 18 games. It's not too bad. I think that is definitely doable. He's going to be mobile enough coming off the start of the season that the Achilles tear does not scare me for the quarterback. I think he'll be good to go come week 1. You believe in the weapons, believe in the man. I think that he's on pace. He'll probably throw for around close to 5,000 yards in my mind, around 30 touchdowns. He's always pretty conservative in the interception department as well, right around 10. So he's going to finish right around quarterback 12 to 13. He's not a league winner. He's not going to be a top 5 guy, but he's currently going at 23 overall at the quarterbacks. And he's going to finish well above that. So I think Kirk Cousins is being disrespected compared to all of his weapons on his entire team. So Kirk Cousins is going to be a superstar.
Hey, I don't hate that. I think value-wise, I think that's a very good sleeper pick. I know you have a man crush on Kirk Cousins. Always have.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And, and if this was fully just a Calvin my guys, I'm sure you'd pick every Falcon you could think of in your my guys. I wouldn't be surprised if you had them all there. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, no, I like Kirk Cousins. I think he could be really I think he's more of a quarterback 2 this year. 1 in my opinion. I know you're all hot and bothered about this offense, and I'm fairly bothered, but
mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be good, but I think he's good for the value. Very good
for sure. Especially at 23 overall, man.
Yes.
What are we doing?
Agreed.
What are we doing?
100%.
He's going 100%. Behind guys like, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, Will Levis. It's too much value for me. So, all right, my running back, my guy, Bijan. No, I'm just kidding. Who's your running back?
All right. Mine is no, it is not Bijan either. It is a guy. It is somebody that is. It's obviously a guy. He is eternal. He's amazing. I don't know how this man does it. He's been doing it since the days of high school.
Uh,
High school and college. You know who I'm thinking of.
the king.
Yeah, he is a king. King Derrick Henry.
Yep.
My goodness, this man is going to go bananas, and he goes bananas every year. Like, you know, really, it's a lot. I mean, the last 2 seasons have been full seasons for him. 21, he had an injury seasons, and he played 8 games and still almost had 1,000 yards. Um, so he was going nuts. So, I mean, if you really think about it, and if we round up, the last what? You say last 5 out of 6 seasons, he's had at least 1,000 yards, at
Yeah.
least.
Yep.
At least almost 1,200 in some
And
aspects.
it's crazy. It's crazy too. Just to kind of reiterate on your point. Last year was a down year with Tennessee. Finishes the running back 8. It's nuts. He is such a good player. So yeah, continue with the king. Here.
Yes. Has Lamar Jackson, who's a running threat. I know some haters will say Lamar Jackson's going to take away from Derrick, but no. That defense is going to keen in on one of those guys anytime during the goal line, and look, Lamar Jackson is that guy. Like he is what Cam Newton wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, it's this running quarterback who's just going nuts. He can go over the top if he needs to, stuff like that. And I think Lamar Jackson is going to get the best Derrick Henry, and get the best out of Derrick.
Sure.
Like this backfield has been riddled with injuries. It was a my guy last year with me with a couple years ago with J.K. Dobbins. Got hurt. They've had Gus Edwards who got hurt a few years ago too. Like they had Mitchell was his last name. I can't remember his first name.
Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah, Keaton Mitchell. Like they just been having Jags there for a little bit. Like they finally got a guy, and I'm sure John Harbaugh is just ready to release this guy, and I think he's going to have a solid 1,500 yards. He's probably going to have 12 touchdowns. He's not much of a receiving threat, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
So really quickly.
Really
quickly. So on DraftKings, not financial advice, but there is a betting line for NFL futures. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry to combine for 2,000 rushing yards was like plus 300. To combine for 2,000 rushing yards between Henry.
Calvin.
I bet it. Don't worry, I bet it. So
I'm not a betting man at all. I know Calvin is, and man, I'm all over that. Yeah. I'm loving that.
It's gonna be fun. The Ravens are gonna be a nightmare for the AFC. Even though he's 30.6, when they're a freak of nature athletically, you gotta bet on those guys. I don't see Derrick Henry falling off anytime soon. What we've seen over the last couple of years, he slowed down a little bit, but the dude was so big and powerful, it doesn't matter. He's still a freak of nature. So I like it. I like Derrick Henry a lot. Yeah. I almost made him my guy. So
I know. I was trying to think on the running backs and who's kind of an older guy that we're going to see kind of shine a little bit.
Yep.
And I love Derrick Henry this year. I'm all over that. I think he's going to do great. And, I don't think he's going to run for 2,000 yards or anything like that. But
no.
I wouldn't be shocked if he has 20 touchdowns this year. I wouldn't be shocked.
I wouldn't be either, but I would be a little shocked. That'd be a lot.
A little.
That's a lot,
but it is. But I wouldn't be shocked by that.
No. So my guy at running back is going to be Tony Pollard going over the Tennessee Titans. And I actually I think he's the perfect post-hype sleeper, Tony Pollard. Everyone was so high on Tony Pollard, and now he's going as the running back 30. He's going behind Nick Chubb. We don't even know if Nick Chubb will ever be able to run. Nick Chubb might not even see the field this year if he can't get healthy. Meanwhile, Tony Pollard is probably, the coach said he might not be. I don't care what the coach said. We all know Tony Pollard's going to be the starter for this offense. They're paying him like $10 million a year. There's no chance Tony Pollard will not be the starter for this team. Does that mean Tyjae Spears is going to be irrelevant? No. Do I care? No. Tony Pollard is going to be very good. Both Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears are similar skill sets. But here's the thing. Last year, in a down year, it was a bad year for Tony Pollard. Still finished as the running back 14, despite having some bad weeks. Did not get utilized in the passing game as much as people were hoping he would, but he was used a lot more in the rushing game than he has in the past. His efficiency went down in both departments. Now, was that him coming back from the injury, the leg break from the playoffs the year prior, or was it more the offensive line falling apart, or has he fallen off a step? Either way, I don't think it matters too much. Last year, he had 252 rushing attempts for 1,000 yards, averaging 4 per carry. That's still fine numbers. It's not the 5.5 that he was averaging the last couple of seasons before that, but 4 yards per carry is still a good number. People are finally excited that Najee broke 4 yards per carry for the first time in his career last year, and people are down on Najee when he was very inefficient the first couple of years. People did not care, right? So we're penalizing Tony Pollard for being very explosive until that leg break and maybe a potential fall off in Dallas. Still utilized heavily in the receiving game. And when you look at the coaching staff, Callahan, I think it's Bill Callahan is the son. Brian Callahan is the father, who's the new offensive line coach he's like a well-renowned top 5 offensive line coach in the NFL. People love this guy. His son gets hired from the Cincinnati Bengals, where he was also the offensive line coach over there. And he's done miracles with the lack of talent that they've had over there in Cincinnati. Now, you can say Cincinnati's been rough for their offensive line, but I think it's more of a talent issue than a coaching issue, in my opinion. Comes over to Tennessee. They had a first-round offensive lineman last year. They drafted a first-round offensive lineman this year. They signed 3 offensive linemen in free agency. They are hammering the offensive line for this team and trying to rebuild that. You go back to Cincinnati, and what did they do? They love to use the play action with Joe Mixon under center behind Joe Burrow and kind of do the read option, right? Tony Pollard will feast in that. With a good offensive line, Tony Pollard, Tyjae Spears will also still be pretty good, but you're telling me that he's going as the running back 30 when he was the running back 14 just a year ago. I get it. Tennessee, they have a little bit of a stink about him right now. I think that they're all completely undervalued, like this entire team, but it's not sexy. I understand that. But let's go win. Let's go win. You can get Tony Pollard so cheap. I've been getting him in every league just because he's completely free right now. So Tony Pollard, guaranteed league winner for fantasy football at the running back position.
I hear that. I'm not a Pollard guy. So
you don't like any of my guys. I know you don't.
I'm not saying I don't like. I like Kirk Cousins. I'm just not infatuated with him.
All right.
Hey, no, it is what it is, man. I get it. So, no, I get it with Tony Pollard. I see the numbers. I know they're there. I'm interested to see how his workload's going to be because I know him and Spears are very similar, and I think they're going to use them, I guess, in the same frame. They're kind of interchangeable, and it's whoever's going to have the hot hand whoever's going to have the hot hand that day. I think both of them can have a hot hand on any given day. So,
yeah,
I think it's going to be more of a split backfield, personally. But
almost every every team is a split backfield. I hate that argument for running back.
No, I don't. I think it's going to be. I think the snaps are going to be even. That's more what I mean. Not like they're going to be more towards 50-50 compared to 65-35.
We'll see.
That's. I mean, even though it's a split backfield, like they're in some backfields, there's a lead back, and
yeah,
I know Pollard's the lead back, but
follow the money. That's the biggest thing for me. But I don't disagree with that. I hear you.
I definitely don't disagree with that. Like they paid the guy, but they also took Spears in the 3rd round. Even
well, it was a different coaching staff with Spears, though. That's the other thing. Like it's all new. It's a whole new slate. So I'm just saying. I think that if you follow the money, Tony Pollard, people like this coaching staff wanted him. So.
Fair.
All right, let's go to receiver. No more bickering about Tony Pollard, even though he's going to be a stud.
Hey, that's fair.
Who's your wide receiver?
It's
my guy.
I was toying with this as well. I really wanted to pick Marv. Boy, I wanted to pick Marv. That felt like an easy one.
Dirty dog.
I know, but hey, I didn't want to go there because I already have Kyler Murray. I don't want to double up on the Cardinals. I don't want to do that to myself. And I felt Marv was a little too easy. So I went with a guy who finished wide receiver 12. He is unfortunately a Michigan man, which makes me hard to it hurts my heart and soul to kind of be behind this guy. But just like what you said with follow the money with Tony Pollard, I'm following the money with Nico Collins.
Yeah, there you go. Nico.
So he definitely had a career year. Last year with CJ Stroud in 15 games, he had 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 80 catches. That's fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's scratching the surface. I'm going to say scratch the surface. I think that's something he could do year in and year out
Mm-hmm.
with Stroud and Dell, and with Diggs there. And, I don't think that production necessarily goes down because Dell was out for about half the year,
It's about eight. Yeah,
and
about 8 games,
yeah,
7 or 8 games.
around that, in Diggs is going to be digging himself a grave. It feels like with the Texans. Um, Speaking of him, like he got in a fight during training camp a couple days ago, so that's fun. It's already started down there. So he's the number one to me. I know Stroud loves Tank Dell. I know he has a new shiny toy with Diggs, but I really think Nico is the meat and potatoes guy that is he's not. I mean, he is a deep threat, but so is Tank Dell, and I
Sure.
think both these guys can. I mean, I think all three of those guys can coexist together
Mm-hmm.
because CJ Stroud is that good, and if he has good receivers, he's going to do well, just like what he did at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So and he's able to spread the ball out. He's able to get guys what they need, and I really like what Nico Collins is doing. Um, where's he going at in drafts there, Calvin?
15. Wide receiver 15. Going behind like Roma
So
Dunze, who's the number 3 on his team as of right now. Going behind Jalen Waddle, who's the number 2. Now, obviously, you can see the path for both of those guys, Chris
yeah,
Olave, Drake London.
yep,
It's very competitive in the top 12, right? For
it is
like wide
definitely.
receiver 15 feels bad. You're like, oh, wide receiver, yeah, it's not number 1, but
That's pretty darn good
the
though,
gap between
and
7 and 15,
it's
it's not
minimal.
that
It's
big.
minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's minimal in the wide receiver. So I would be fairly comfortable having him as my wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I would feel good about that and not feel like I'm gonna crap the bed. So I'm excited what he's gonna do. I think he's just gonna skyrocket. I kind of think what he did last year is something what he's gonna continue to do. And the numbers might be a little different, but I can see him being in the 8 to 16 range.
Yeah. Yep. I can definitely see that.
Year in and year out, and I think with the value where he's at, I think that's very valuable.
Yep. Now, my receiver, I just did a video about him just a couple days ago, Deontay Johnson with the Carolina Panthers. And I love it that I've already been confirmed with the news blurb today that came out that all they're looking to do is get Deontay Johnson the ball. I don't understand why he's fallen so far down the boards. He's going on sleepers, their wide receiver number 45 on the rankings and all that fun jazz. He is, I think, wide receiver 49, so a little bit lower. People on sleeper like him a little bit more than consensus, but it just does not make sense to me why he's being undervalued so heavily. The last couple of years, he has not had a quarterback to save his life, and I have always been out on Deontay Johnson because he was always overvalued for fantasy football because he never had a quarterback. Now, say what you will about Bryce Young, number 1 overall pick last year. It's because he had talent. He does have talent. I don't think that he's going to be an amazing stud long term in the NFL. He's not going to be playing when he's 39. I do not want Bryce Young, when he's 35 like Kirk Cousins, like my guy at quarterback here. But Bryce Young, he's smart. He is smart. You can see it from Alabama. Like, he was a very good processor. And what he was able to do last year with Frank Reich was a shock to everybody, right? Bryce Young was terrible last year. He was not able to read the defenses very well at all. The offensive line did not save him whatsoever. And they have completely gone around to revamp the offensive line, load up his weapons with Deontay, with Xavier Legette, with Jonathan Brooks at running back. So they have invested heavily in the weapons. They invested heavily in the offensive line as well. So they bring in Dave Canales from the Buccaneers last year, who saved Baker Mayfield, who saved Geno Smith a couple years ago. They are trying everything they can to make Bryce Young be the number one overall pick that everyone wanted him and believed he could be last year. Now, if Bryce Young can be what we thought he could be from college, I never liked Bryce Young in his dynasty value. I like what he can do for the weapons. If he can actually step up to that level, Deontay Johnson will be the number one for this team. They traded a third-round pick for him, which is not an amazing amount of value for him, but it's not nothing in the current NFL. And when you look at the other weapons on this team, Xavier Legette, kind of a questionable rookie, right? That took a long time to break out. Jonathan Mingo, the ghost of Adam Thielen, is still kind of running around here. They don't really have amazing weapons in the passing game to be an alpha. We've seen Deontay Johnson be the number one for a team before, and he was good for fantasy football when that happened. So Bryce Young and Deontay Johnson are kind of a match made in heaven in my mind. And the fact that he's going as wide receiver 45, when I do believe he has top 24 and maybe even top 15 return value this year, barring injury or anything like that. If you told me in a year's time that Deontay Johnson had 100 catches for about 1,150 yards and 9-10 touchdowns, would you be shocked? I wouldn't be.
No.
So, and that right there is probably enough to be right around wide receiver 13 last year. So 45 seems like an egregious disappointment, and it's kind of I get it. It's a reflection on Bryce Young and what we saw last year, but I do think that if you look at everything that this team has done in this offseason, there's no reason why Deontay Johnson can't return on that wide receiver number 45 value. So I love him for this year.
Yeah, no, and I definitely agree with all of that. He has a really good chance of being, of doing kind of like what, in a way like what Nico Collins did. He had that down years. I think a lot of that was a product of Matt Canada, over there in Pittsburgh, and that felt it and it was that and the Kenny pick.
Yeah.
So,
I forgot about Matt Canada. That dude was the worst, dude. Oh my goodness, he
tiny
was
hands,
terrible.
man, tiny hands.
That guy was awful.
Yeah. So he is rid of that. He is from one. He's from a tiny hand quarterback to a tiny quarterback. See how it goes. I'm guessing most of us have seen the pictures of Bryce Young coming in for training camp. He looks like a seventh grader coming in for the school.
Yeah,
But
it's not great.
I do think it is not a good look. I find it mildly comical, but he will have a better year. He will. He's gonna like Bryce Young's gonna have a better year. So in turn, his weapons will have a better year. So
Yep.
and Deontay's the guy. So I definitely agree with that. I think that's sickeningly low on value for.
Yep, I'm with you. So, all right, let's finish this out. Who's your tight end, my guy, for this year?
Speaking of Steelers.
Oh, you son of a gun! You took my guy.
Yes.
No.
My guy for the tight end is Pat Freiermuth.
All right.
Formerly of
enough.
Penn State. He stayed in the Keystone State, and he is with the Steelers. And man, oh man, I like what Pat Freiermuth did. He has given lots of people hope of what Penn State tight ends could be. So, last year, unfortunately, kind of was a down year. It was a down year for a lot of the. So, he had 300 yards, a couple touchdowns.
He was banged
A
up
lot
a
of that
lot too.
he was banged up a lot. He's been having concussion issues, which it's gonna be interesting with the Halo cap this year, which that's something else that's gonna be added this year. So like we're gonna be seeing a lot of the Halo caps, which I don't know if people have seen them. That's beside. I love Pat Freiermuth. I think he is dangerously underrated. In 2022, he was the tight end 8, which if you can get a tight end that has some tight end one season, I guess you could say, that's something to be very hopeful of.
Hmm.
And with he's going to have competent quarterback play.
Yeah.
Um,
Who both
I
love
think
the tight end position, Fields or
who both
Russ.
love,
Yeah.
yes, love them, yeah, love them, and and I know people are hating on Arthur Smith, but Arthur Smith can hook up a decent offense.
Yeah. There was
He can. He can.
yeah.
He can. Yes.
The last interview with Pat Fryermuth, he said Arthur Smith's offense is very fun for the tight end. That's literally his last quote.
It's very exciting as well.
Yeah.
Very
Yep.
exciting.
So
Very exciting.
no,
So I'm very excited for this guy, and I think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna do something similar to what he did in 2022. Having about six something catches.
yep.
He had smidge over 700 yards. I think he's definitely gonna get in the end zone quite a bit this year.
Yep.
It's really going to be him and the George Pickens show, on offense. At least pass catcher wise. I mean, they're still Najee, they're still Jalen Warren, but um, with the absence of Deontay Johnson, I think Freiermuth is going to step up, and I know Danger Russ loves him, and my guy Justin Fields loves the tight end too. So, boy, I'm excited to see what he does. I just hope he can see.
Minor, bonus nugget here. Calvin Austin, go back a couple years. They're loving him in camp right now. Russell Wilson, it's like his favorite target. You're wondering who the slot guy. I've been hoping it's going to be Roman Wilson in a lot of leagues, and maybe Roman Wilson comes on a little bit slower. But as of right now, it sounds like the slot guy is going to be Calvin Austin as like the number 2 primary receiving threat. You want to talk about cheap and free. Calvin Austin is going to be,
Cheap.
he's probably on the waivers in most leagues. So you can probably go add him right now.
Absolutely.
So just a little bonus nugget of something I've heard. Now, obviously with Pat Fryermuth, he's ranked as the consensus tight end 14. He's being drafted on Sleeper as the tight end number 30, which is nuts. That is insanely low. I agree with you. He was going to be my guy.
Yes,
so,
yes, yeah. If he's there at the end of the draft, at the end of your drafts, because people do, like towards the at a certain point, like people are going off 80.
Yeah,
they do, unfortunately, and he is shuffled down there quite a bit. So, pick him up with your last pick if he's there, or just pick him up in a later round. Heck yeah, fire up me some Pat Fire.
All right. Well, I had to pivot. To a new tight end option here. And who I'm going to go with is going to be Hunter Henry with the New England Patriots. I'll make him my guy.
Hunter.
Yeah. And I don't completely love it, but at the same time, I do think that there's a lot of opportunity here. And you go back to the New England Patriots, they're more than likely Drake May is going to play most of the season. Drake May's been pretty good so far through training camp. A lot of hype videos are going around. The deep ball has been there for him so far. You had the rocky kind of draft cycle for Drake May. Is he ready? Does he need to sit for a couple years? Blah, blah, blah. Either way, Jacoby Brissett, Drake May, doesn't really matter. You look at the receiving options on this team. He is literally the veteran player for this team. Him and Juju Smith-Schuster. And Juju is done. He has no knees left. Juju's knees are dust, right? So Hunter Henry is going to be the number 1 competent receiver in this backfield. You've got Javon Baker, rookie. Jalen Polk, rookie. KJ Osborne, I guess, is there, but he's a new signing. You've got Jalen Reagor still. Don't care. Demario Douglas, year 2 player. Tyquan Thornton, never liked him. It's just there's not a lot of amazing players here that are going to stand out from the receiving corps. They can definitely develop into that, but in a pinch, who are you going to go to? We always talk about this. What a rookie quarterbacks love to target. The running back and the tight end. They're their safety valves, right? Hunter Henry, last couple years, has been the victim of terrible offensive schemes, like absolutely awful. Now, you go back to last year, even in a down year in terms of target wise, he had 61 targets, 42 receptions for 419 yards. It was absolutely miserable last year. 6 touchdowns still, though. Like, he was a touchdown machine. You get to the end zone with this offense, and who are they going to target? They're going to target Hunter Henry. You go back just a couple of years ago to 2021, the dude finished as a tight end number 10 on 50 catches for 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. That is entirely possible, yet again, with Drake May. The team paid him a lot of money to come back this year with him being a free agent. They did not want to lose Hunter Henry because they knew what they had as the veteran receiver for this team. So I like Hunter Henry a lot. It's not my choice, my preferred choice for my guy, but I do believe in the talent there. And when he's going as the, on Sleeper, he's being drafted, which is still crazy. So he's being drafted on Sleeper as a tight end number 19. 11 spots ahead of Pat Freiermuth. 11 spots. That is nuts. But he is much lower in the consensus rankings than Pat Freiermuth. Freiermuth was tight end number 15. Hunter Henry is the tight end number 26. And he's not that old. He's not over the hill. Like, he's the same age as George Kittle, who's going as, he's actually younger than George Kittle by about a whole year. So George Kittle is tight end number 9. Better offense. I get it. Better scheme. But I do believe that they're going to go to Hunter Henry quite a bit in 2024. So I like it for the next 2 years. I think you have a sleeper stud tight end option that you can get for basically nothing. Nobody cares about the tight end number 24. So
zero people do.
Or 26. Nobody cares.
And again, he will probably go undrafted in most.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Probably. Nobody cares about him whatsoever.
Zero people do.
Yep. So, all right. That is our my guys. Let's recap it really quickly. So, your my guys, go ahead.
So at quarterback, my guy is Kyler Murray. Running back, King Derrick Henry. Wide receiver, Nico Collins, and tight end, Pat. Luth is Luth.
Oh, God.
As the ballers say it, he is going to be Luth all over the field this year. And
I hate that. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Oh, I'm loving it.
All right. My guys for 2024. Now, obviously, we went over 2023. Not the best hit rate, but I had a couple. I had a couple more than Dale. I just putting that. My guys at quarterback, Kirk Cousins, Tony Pollard, Deontay Johnson, Jake Ferguson. None of these guys are top 10 rated, or not Jake Ferguson, Hunter Henry, sorry. None of these guys are top number ones at their position. They're not rated there, but I believe all of these guys can have the ability to jump up to fringe top 12 or even in the top 12 with Tony Pollard, Jake Ferguson, for example. So that said, let us know your thoughts on these my guys. Go and get them before the league starts, before the year starts, because I do believe most of these guys can be league winners because of how cheap they are, especially for the contending teams out there. So go and get your guys. I believe in them. Dale believes in them. Dale, any last thoughts here for today?
Send it on home.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for checking this video out. Follow us on Twitter at TDC_Calvin, at Dynasty_Dale, or at FF After Dark. Podcast available, YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, anywhere the podcasts are really found. And if you can, please, one last time, subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of video. Leave a comment down below what you think about our my guys. Why are we overvaluing these guys, or what are we missing that we should be completely out on them? Let us know. Or if you agree with us, rarely does that happen, but sometimes.
It happens.
And if you can like the video, just helps us out there. We do appreciate you guys. We'll be back on Friday. At least I will be back on Friday. Dale might be out of town. We'll see. It's the risk of doing them Friday nights. But either way, I'll have something for you guys on Friday. Maybe a training camp recap where I kind of recap the week and everybody what they're talking about and hyping up. There's a lot of news out there. So we'll see. But until next time, thank you guys so much for listening and have a great night.
And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?